Good day. I am Chito Gascon, the chair of the Philippine Commission on Human Rights. And I am grateful to the May 18 Memorial Foundation, as well as all the organizers, for the kind invitation to participate in this Gwangju Asia Forum. Let me also express my solidarity and congratulations to the people of Gwangju on this 40th anniversary of the Gwangju Democracy Uprising, which was an important event not only in the history of democracy in Korea, but in Asia and the world. We in the Philippines share a common path taken by Korea in the sense that we both experienced authoritarian rule for a significant period of time, and we successfully undertook a democratic transition by removing dictatorship and authoritarian rule and establishing constitutional safeguards, periodic, free, and fair elections, and the guarantees of human rights, freedom, and citizens' participation. And these principles are all the more important today as the world grapples with a global health crisis, and we are faced with stark choices about what needs to be done and whether or not freedom, human rights, democracy, peace, and justice will survive this current moment. The Philippines, 30 years ago, went through a process of building up from authoritarian practices by guaranteeing a constitution that respects human rights, ensuring that there are checks and balances, establishing oversight institutions like the institution I currently head to ensure that there will no longer be a need to return to authoritarian tendencies, what we claim or affirm to be never again to dictatorship, never again to human rights violations. Yet, because of the challenges of contemporary society, poverty, underdevelopment, lack of voice and participation, there has been some significant degree of backsliding over the last 3 decades. While we remain a democracy and we uh, continue to fight for fundamental freedoms, the reality is our people seem to be impatient to the point that they have tried quick fixes and have been allured to the promises of authoritarian groups and leaders to the point that they present to us a stark, although unreal and unnecessary choice. They say to guarantee development, safety, security, peace, protection, we need to reduce democracy. We need to undermine or set aside human rights. And that false dichotomy or choice is what we and many other countries in the region and the world have been facing. But they are, as I said, a false dichotomy because sacrificing freedom, human rights, and democracy in favor of these values often does not result in achieving those goals in the first instance, but also further undermines the ability of society itself to respond to the many challenges we faced. Also, we must affirm that those aspirations of protection, safety, and security are in fact human rights and are in fact a duty of the state to pursue within a democratic framework. And so over the last 3 decades, unlike Korea, which has shown very well how it can pursue that path where both development, economic progress, freedom, and democracy go hand in hand, many countries in the world have grappled with this. And now, even the developed countries are faced with this stark challenge in the midst of this global pandemic, because now even established democracies are flirting with the idea of the limitation of rights, the limitation of freedoms, and the reduction of transparency in order to address the crisis. And that choice highlights what we all must do, activists for democracy and freedom in the world, to stand up and to push back against this democratic recession. Because Korea itself has shown, as it faced this current challenge, that it is possible to pursue a path of right to health, right to security, and food and shelter for our people without having to compromise on freedom. In fact, you just successfully conducted a free and fair democratic election soon after addressing the worst parts of this crisis, while we in the Philippines are still in the middle of this enhanced community quarantine. And as a result, aside from the previous human rights violations that have already been occurring before this crisis, there are now additional challenges to restrictions on freedom, access to basic social services, and requests for even more draconian approaches to be pursued. These are the stark choices that we all face. And these has been, in fact, articulated very clearly by the historian and philosopher Yuval Noah Harari in an op-ed recently in the Financial Times that says that the world today has two choices: either authoritarianism or empowered citizenship, or uh, worse, isolation or global solidarity. We must choose the path of humanity. We must choose the values that we affirmed collectively as an international community in the wake of the two world wars of the last century, and reaffirm that freedom, democracy, and human rights must survive this challenge. And Korea and the Gwangju spirit presents to us this viable alternative of guaranteeing that civilization will thrive amidst these challenges, because we reaffirm human dignity, fundamental freedoms, transparency and accountability, and democracy in our societies. And that's what we all must do together: stand up, push back, defend our freedoms. Peace and justice to you all. May you all be safe as we face these challenges together. Thank you.